नमोऽस्तुते व्यासविशालबुद्धे त्वय्यारविन्दायतपत्रनेत्र येन त्वया भारततैलपूर्णः प्रज्वालितो ज्ञानमयप्रदीपः प्रपन्नपारिजाताय स्तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे नमः। सर्वोपनिषदो गावो दोग्धा गोपालनन्दनः पार्थो वत्ससुधीर्भोक्ता दुग्धं गीतामृतं महत्। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। हरि ओम्। Hari Om, and it is so wonderful to be here at the Vishwanath Mandir with all of you this evening. Can you hear me okay? Yes? Okay. As our Dayanji mentioned, Chinmay Mission is conducting a 108 night Bhagavad Gita Yajna across Guyana, and we are on night number 93. So we're coming to the end of the 108 night program, and we're also coming to the end of Bhagavad Gita. We're almost at the end of chapter 17 in Bhagavad Gita, and there are only 18 chapters. So it's almost finishing. Let me tell you a little bit about what is going on in chapter 17. Arjuna had asked Bhagavan Sri Krishna, you know, there are some people who do rituals, like they will do yajna, they will do puja, they will chant mantras, but they may not do it exactly as is prescribed in the Shastra. They may not know exactly what is written and how it is to be done, because they would have watched their forefathers do it and they do it like that, or they would have seen somebody do it and they're doing it like that. So as they know it, as they have seen, they're doing. So it may be having mistakes, but they're doing it with full shraddha, with full faith. So he asks Bhagavan, is that sattvic, rajasic or tamasic? Meaning, is that a good thing? Is it a noble thing? Is it mediocre or is it wrong? Is it bad? If someone is not following what Shastra says, but they're doing what they know with faith. Bhagavan Sri Krishna said, actually Arjuna, it is not so easy to answer this question because it depends on what kind of faith they have. Whether their faith is the best kind of faith, their faith is mediocre, or they have a tamasic faith, whether their faith is sattvic, rajasic or tamasic, whether it is noble, mediocre or ignoble. And who they are worshipping, how they are worshipping, why they are worshipping, there are so many factors to consider before you answer this question. So Bhagavan Sri Krishna explained, no, you have to see the faith of the person. And our faith is shown based on our nature. You know, a person's nature is what reveals who they are. And our nature is revealed by our mind. So Bhagavan says, before I answer your question, let me tell you something. He says, let me tell you how to understand your nature so you can see if you have a sattvic, rajasic or tamasic disposition. If your disposition is noble, mediocre or ignoble. So he pointed it out in the way we worship. Who we worship indicates whether we're sattvic, rajasic or tamasic. Then he indicated not everyone may engage in worship. So he said, well, you definitely eat multiple times a day. So every time you eat, you can look at the food you eat and that will indicate to you what kind of nature you have. Is the food that you eat conducive, mediocre, or not conducive? Then, the way that we engage in any kind of yajna, any kind of sacrifice, any kind of offering, even the duties that we engage in on a daily basis, that the way we do it indicates whether it is sattvic, rajasic, or tamasic. Then Bhagavan Sri Krishna told about tapas, the way we engage in discipline, what we do and the attitude with which we do it with, all of that reveals to us the nature of our mind. And now Bhagavan Sri Krishna has just started to take up the topic of dana. Dana meaning giving. The terrible translation of dana is charity. But English words cannot do justice to the Sanskrit words in majority of situations. This is one such word. Dana comes from the word da. Da is to give. So it's not about charity is I am here and the person is there and I'm doing them a favor and I'm giving them something, and something I don't need, something I don't want. There's so many different attitudes with which people give charity. But dana is a totally different thing. So Bhagavan Sri Krishna says even dana, or our attitude of giving, is of three types. There are three qualities. Our giving can be noble, it can be very good, it can be mediocre, not ideal, but not so bad. And then there's a kind of giving which is, much less than ideal. Of course, it is better than no giving. Tamasic dana is better than no dana, but still, it is not so good. It is less than so good also. So what all is that dana? Bhagavan Sri Krishna takes time to tell us. Not so we can look at other people and be like, yes, I think that person, the way that they give, it is very mediocre. Not for that. The other thing is, when Bhagavan Sri Krishna is describing this dana or this giving, he does not address at all what is given, how much is given, but he addresses the attitude with which it is given. So the crux of this whole thing rests on the attitude in our mind more than the tangible transaction that happens. So first of all, before we see what Bhagavan Sri Krishna has to say, a few things about dana. Dana, we'll use the Sanskrit word because charity just doesn't mean what it means actually. So dana is the word we will use. First of all, I can only give to somebody what is mine. If my friend comes to my house and they see a teddy bear, or a wonderful plate in my house. They see a nice plate and they say, oh wow, this is so nice. Can I have it? And I say, yes, sure, of course, please take it. But it doesn't belong to me, it belongs to my sibling. Am I allowed to say, please take it? No problem, have it. It doesn't belong to me, so I can't give it. I saw a short video of some children, grown-up children, giving their parents gifts. So for Christmas how people put lots of gifts under the tree? So the parents start to open the gifts that the children have given them. Grown children who don't live with their parents anymore. And those parents are opening the gifts one by one and they say, oh, look, this pillow, we have such a similar one. Then they open the next thing. Oh, look, this decoration, we have the same one upstairs. Then they open the next one. Oh, look, this mug, we have the same mug. And they open about 5 or 6 things and then they realize that the children just took their own things and wrapped it and gave it to them. That is not dana. I cannot give something that does not belong to me. I cannot come here and tell you, I give you, this is such a nice mandir, I feel like giving you something. I give you the Demerara River. You will think I'm mad. You can only give what is yours. That is the first thing. The second thing, is when we are giving, what we are supposed to give along with the thing that we are giving is we're supposed to give up our myness. You know, if you I have this iPad. I think this is mine. Correct? I don't think it is yours. I think it is mine. So now, imagine I give you this. And then I come back tomorrow. And then I ask you, oh, how is my iPad working? That means that I haven't really given it, if I'm still calling it mine. Is it not? Swami Chinmayananda, Puja Gurudev, someone had given him a very expensive, beautiful shawl. You know, in parts of the Himalayas it gets very cold. So they had given him a nice shawl. And so he had taken it, and a few days later, they saw somebody else wearing that shawl. So they went up to him and they said, Gurudev, you gave my shawl to that person? And Gurudev said, no, I gave my shawl to that person, not your shawl. Because when you gave it to me, it became mine. If it is not mine, that in your mind, that means you never really gave it. So when we do dana, we have to give up that feeling of myness. When I give it, it is not mine. I cannot go back. If you give somebody land to build a mandir, you cannot go back and say, give me a piece of my land. You've finished giving it, right? So we are supposed to give such that it is not ours anymore. If someone gives a donation to the mandir, they cannot come and ask, what did you do with my donation? It is not yours anymore once you have given it. That is the attitude which we're supposed to give, right? The other thing is that actually we have to remember that giving is a privilege. You know, some people, let me tell you, there was a king, a very, very wealthy king, who was very noble at the same time. And he was such that if anybody came to him for anything, he would give. There's nothing that he wouldn't give. And he would give with his heart open. But every time he gave, he would put his head down and he would give with his head bowed. And so somebody asked him one time, you know, why do you bow your head when you give? Why do you look down? He said, because whenever I give, people thank me. You know, they think I am so great. But really, everything that I have belongs to Bhagavan. The capacity to give is Bhagavan's. So they are thanking me for something that I don't deserve to be thanked for. So I put my head down to remember that the gratitude does not belong to me. This feeling of, actually, if I have an opportunity to give, they are giving me the opportunity to give. Like that, we're supposed to have the sentiment of dana, right? And the last thing is, dana is supposed to be done with shraddha, with faith that this is going to bring some blessings. You know what? Even if someone doesn't have shraddha, our scripture says, ashraddhaya deyam. It doesn't matter if you don't have shraddha, give without shraddha also, but you should give. Because giving is such an important quality that we have to develop and learn as human beings. You know, if you have a young child and you bring them to the mandir here, and that young child goes up to the altar and they pick up a bell. You know, the little children, they like all kinds of things. So they pick up a bell and they start to ring it, and then the parent lets them. Now it is time to go home. And the parent says, please give back the bell so we can put it back at the altar and go home. That child leaves the bell. That is when they hold it even stronger. Isn't it? Now you tell me, which is better? A child who will let it go and give it back? Or a child who it has to be snatched from and they cry from here all the way to their house and you can hear them here? Better to give it after it is time to give, isn't it? Now, at the end of our life, whenever the end of our life is, we have to give everything. Every single thing that we have to leave it. If we cannot give little things in our life, clothes and shoes and $500 without it hurting us, we will go like that child who just doesn't want to let go of the bell from the mandir. So Bhagavan's advice is give. Every little giving that we do, it teaches us so much about what is inside of us. So this giving is really encouraged in Sanatana Dharma. Right? Now let us see what Bhagavan Sri Krishna has to say about the 3 qualities of giving, the 3 types of giving. So I will chant Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, and please everybody repeat. I want to be able to hear everybody's voice. Okay? Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. Everybody. Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, 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 Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. Datavyam iti yattanam diyate nupakarini. Deshe kale cha patre cha tattanam sattvikam smritam. Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, 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 Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. Shri Krishna Kanhaiya Lal ki Jai. Bhagavan Shri Krishna starts by talking about Sattvic Dhanam, the kind of Dhanam that is the most noble, the most ideal form of giving. And yesterday we had started and seen, first is Datavyam iti, the feeling that I am giving because it is my duty to give. Because I have been given so much that it is my duty to give back. In whatever way. And giving is not only giving money. Giving is giving time, it is giving resources, it is giving knowledge, it is giving anything that I have that is valuable to me. It is incumbent on me to share with others. This is the sentiment that is there. I am expressing my gratitude, and this feeling that I have when I give, it is considered the best way to give. Then, anupakarini. It is given with no thought of getting anything back from the person. You know, I will never see this person again, and I'm giving like that. I don't want anything back from this person as a result of this giving. And meaning I don't even want a thank you as a result of what I have given. There was one man who was sitting on the bus, and a pregnant woman walked on. And so, you know, the noble thing to do is to get up and to give your seat, right? So he stood up and he signaled her, and she came and she sat down. Well, she did not say thank you. So he bent down after a few minutes and he said, "Sorry, did you say something?" She said, "No." "Oh, okay, sorry, I thought you said something." A few minutes later, again he bent down. "Sorry, did you say something? I didn't hear you." She said, "No, I didn't say anything." The third time he did that, he said, No, I thought you said thank you." I can't even give somebody a kind gesture without waiting for them to say thank you. But the giving is supposed to be such that thank you also is, I'm not expecting even a thank you as a result of what I have given, because it is my duty and it is my privilege to give. That is the feeling that someone who does sattvic dan has. Then, deshe kale cha patre cha. Now the dana is given at the appropriate place, at the appropriate time, and to the appropriate person. That means, there are some, when you go on tirath, like a pilgrimage, that is an auspicious place to give dana. You have to give something at that time, right? Or auspicious time. On so many of our festivals, that is an auspicious time to give. You don't come to the mandir and give nothing at that time, right? Auspicious time. And to the right person, anybody who is learned, cultured, who is helping to society to sustain dharma, like that. You give to people like that, right? Or right time, place, and person is if there's something like a natural disaster. Well, you have to give at that time. Whatever you have, you give a little bit of what you have, because they're going through some serious trouble, right? And the time. You don't wait 2 months for the trouble to be over. Then you say, "Oh yeah, there was that thing." No, and then you go and give at that time. No, it is at the time it is needed that you take out the things you have and you give, right? Giving at the right time. And when a country is going through some kind of natural disaster, that is not the time to think, I don't like these kind of people. It doesn't matter who they are. If they need help at that time, you give, right? And then also, the right time is the right place is also if you see any noble work going on, any kind of noble work, social work, dharmic work, and they need money for some project, that you just take and you give what you can, right? Bhagavan Sri Krishna is saying this is considered to be sattvic or noble giving. Now, this kind of right time, place, and person, it doesn't apply to things like water and food when a person is starving. There was one wonderful saint. His name was Sant Eknath Maharaj in Bharat, in India. And he was doing a tirath. He had taken Ganga Jal from Prayagraj, where the 3 rivers meet. Ganga, Yamuna, Saraswati, a very holy river. He had taken Jal from there. And he was walking with that Jal to the other end of Bharat, to the south of Bharat, Rameshwaram, where Bhagavan Sri Rama had made that Shivji's lingam before the war. And on the way, he had a group of disciples with him, and on the way, they met a donkey who was dying of thirst. A donkey who was dying of thirst. And Sant Eknath Maharaj took this Ganga Jal, which was meant to end up with Lord Shiva, and he fed it to this donkey. Why? Because at that time, more noble than the sankalpa of offering water to Bhagavan Shiva is there's a being who needs the water. That happened to be Vittal Bhagavan himself, and that whole thing had happened to show everybody that he really has the vision that Bhagavan is everywhere and in everything. Right? So when somebody is thirsty and hungry, that is not the time you see who they are and what they've done. You give. Right? So like this, Bhagavan says, that is not the time to think about whether they deserve something or not. Right? Okay. Now, in our tradition, one of the greatest forms of dana is kanyadan. Kanyadan means giving of a daughter, right? Because you know how it works. That daughter is born and the parent gives and gives and gives. He gives education, he gives culture, everything. And then he gives her also, finally. But he gives with the kind of intention that I am giving without wanting to take anything as a result of this giving. I don't know if it is practiced here or if it was practiced here, but in Bharat long time ago there was a practice that when a family gives their daughter to another family, they do not even go and drink water from that other family's home, because of this sentiment that I give in such a way that there's one thing in my life I have given where I take absolutely nothing in return for it. Right? Like that. This is Sattvic Dana, where I give not thinking what am I going to get as a result. So then what will be Rajasic Dan? And then what will be Tamasic Dan? Let us see what Bhagavan has to say. This is now, I didn't tell, verse number 21 of chapter 17. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Everybody.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Yattu pratyupakarartham phalamuddishya va punah.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Diyate cha pariklishtam tadanam rajasam smritam.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Shri Krishna Kanhaiya Lal ki Jai. Tad Danam Rajasam Smritam. This Danam that he is going to describe now is considered Rajasic, mediocre. Right? What is it? Yattu Pratyupakarartham. That which is done with the thought of receiving something back in return. So I'm going to give, and I give open-heartedly. But in my mind there is a thought that if I give, I'm going to get something as a result. Right? That is a transaction. You go to a shop and you give money and you get goods. That is not called danam. Right? Here, in Canada, because the tax rate is so high, people try to find ways to minimize their taxes, right? So there's something called a charitable donation, where you give money to an organization that has a charitable status, and they will give you a tax receipt in return. And when you get that tax receipt, at tax time you can apply and you get like some percentage of that money back, right? So people come to the ashram and they give money. And the first question, will I get a tax receipt? If the answer is no, well, the amount they will give is different. In fact, whether they will give or not is the question at that point, right? So, giving but wanting something in return, right? Or, you know, the politicians come around voting time. Election year, they give you the stars and the moon. But what do they want in return? They want the vote. So, giving, but with expectation of something in return. You know, people give, and then the other person says, I owe you one. That whole sentiment is, there's a give and take in the giving. That is called Rajasic Dana, right? Or, what the next word Bhagavan says is, Phalam Uddishya, meaning, I'm giving thinking about the result I'm going to get. It is said, whatever you give as dana in this lifetime, in your next lives you will get that back. So someone hears that, you know, if I give, then I will get back. Then if I don't give, that means in my next life my bank account will be empty. So better give, better give. So they're not thinking about the sentiment of gratitude or anything. They're thinking, let me give so I can get something in the future. Right? That is Rajasic Dana. Still, at least they're giving, but the attitude is so-so. Then, Pariklishtam. Some people give grudgingly. Have you seen? You know, some people will give a donation just so you can stop asking them. I want to get rid of this person, so let me just give them something so they can't come back and ask me again. Right? There was one village that had a haunted house. Means they thought some Jambi lived there. So nobody wanted to go to that house. So one Swami had come and he said, no, I don't have a problem staying in that house. You put me there. So Swamiji stayed in that house. Well, the next day, everybody from the village came and said, Swamiji, what happened? You know, was the night okay? Swamiji said, yeah, don't worry. Now anybody can come to this house also. It's not haunted anymore. They said, what? What happened? You didn't see a Jambi? No, the Jambi came and he met me and everything. Then what are you saying? No, you know what happened? Well, I asked him for a donation. And that was it. He gone for good. Then other people will give because of peer pressure. Oh, you know, this person asked me how much I'm giving for this project, so I feel like I ought to give. So they give with reluctance, you know? Anyways, this is called Rajasic Dana. So, Sattvic Dana is giving without thinking what you're going to get in any way, shape or form. Rajasic Dana is thinking, I will give, but I'm thinking about what I'm going to get. Well, what could Tamasic Dana be then? Let us see what Bhagavan Shri Krishna has to say. Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama,
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 Adesha Kale Yaddanam Apatrebhyascha Diyate.
Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama,
Asakritam avajñātam tattamasam Krishna Kanaya Lal ki jai. Tat tamasam udahritam. Now tamasic, or the lowest form of giving, is described. Actually, it is the exact opposite of sattvic dana. Adesha kale cha apatrebhyah. It is not given at the right place, it is not given at the right time, and it is not given to the right person. That means, very interesting. We were in Bharat a few months ago. Bharat means India. The proper name of India is Bharat. So we had gone to so many famous mandirs, so many famous tirath sthans we had gone to. And when you go to the mandir, there's big signs everywhere. Please only place donations, offerings, money in the hundi. They have the hundi where you put the donation box. Only put your donations in the donation box. Well, you go up to the front, and you may not have seen that sign, if you're not from there and you're not used to it. So you go up to the front, and there's a thali over there. And there is not an ordinary pandit, but a corrupt pandit sitting over there. And that pandit sees you have money in your hand, and you're about to go and put it in the hundi. Well, we got stopped multiple times where the pandits were telling us, no, come. Don't put it in the hundi, come and put it here. Why? Because they want to put it in their pocket. And if you do not, when you go to these famous places, you want to get some kind of blessing. Some fruit, some flower, some raksha thread, right? If you do not put money in front of them, well, they are not going to give you anything. But if you put in front of them, depending on the amount, the prasad that you receive will be more and more special. So now someone thinks, well, I want to get that mala which is in front of Bhagavan. So let me give 500 rupees. That is called adesha, akala, apatra. We're not giving it at the right place to the right person at the right time. You may be in the most auspicious location, but even there's a right place and a right person and a right way to give. Right? This is tamasic dana. Or, some people will give money and they can see that the person that they have given the money to is going to take that money and straight go and buy drugs with it. Well, you're better off going and buying some food to give them, because the money that you give is going to go straight into something that is not good, right? Adesha, akala, apatra. Or some people are there. Well, imagine somebody comes to Guyana and they have, by mistake, received a container full of sweaters. They were supposed to get t-shirts, but instead of t-shirts, the container came with sweaters. So now they say, well, who's going to buy sweaters in Guyana? Maybe 1 or 2 people who are traveling might come and buy, but a whole container? So they decide, I am going to do dana. I am going to give these for free. Not because of anything else, but because that is not called nice dana, giving sweaters to people who are in a hot country who won't wear them, right? So that is called apatra, right? That wrong time, wrong place, wrong person, all of that. Okay. There's that famous song. I can't sing it because I'm not a singer, but I will tell you. It goes, Kabhi pyase ko pani pilaya nahi. You might know it, right? You never fed water to a thirsty person. Then afterwards, what is the use of giving amrit, right? Then that other line goes, you never gave bhojan to somebody then what, like that it goes, then what is the use of giving so much dan after that? When you give, you have to see right time, right place, right person. You don't just give wrongly. Okay, then Bhagavan says, asat kritam and avagnatam, without respect, without honor, and with contempt, saying not nice things. Okay, fine, just take it and go. You know, when somebody has to come and ask for something because they need something, they already have to make themselves small to ask. Is it not? When you have to go and ask, you feel small when you're asking. In fact, this thing is symbolized with Bhagavan also. You know, the one avatar of Bhagavan that came to ask for something was Vaman avatar. You know, he came as a dwarf. He came to ask Mahabali for land. He came as a dwarf because when you're going to ask, you make yourself small. So this person is coming to ask and they've already made themselves small. And then you go and you say things that are going to make them feel even smaller. That is called ignoble dana. What great benefit will it bring to you if you give like that? This sentiment is there, right? Just take it. This is tamasic dana. So Bhagavan has told what is sattvic dan, what is rajasic dan, what is tamasic dan. And now, as I said, better to give tamasic dan than no dan. At least you're giving, you know. But if we notice that we give with this kind of attitude in any circumstance, then we should try to make it better. That is what Bhagavan is telling us. He's pointing it out so we can see the way we give, so we can refine our giving. You know, there was one very poor lady in a village just outside of a king's palace. And she didn't have money to buy food for her children. She couldn't feed them anything. So she saw that there's a mango tree and it's just kind of hanging out of the king's palace. So she thought, in his orchard, she thought, well, maybe I can collect some of these mangoes. I can go in really quickly and get them and come out. So she took a stone and she threw it at the tree. And obviously when you throw a stone at the right spot, then the mangoes fall. Well, she threw this stone and she heard a big ouch! Someone screaming. That stone went and hit somebody. It happened to be the king who this stone fell on. In his orchard he was sitting and this stone came and hit him. Well, you know, the king's bodyguards and soldiers, they were furious on his behalf. So they went to look who had the audacity to throw a stone on the king. So they went and they found this lady. Do you know what you did? You threw a stone on the king. Your punishment is going to be death, and all kinds of things they were telling her. And they took her in front of the king. So the king said, what happened? She said, you know, I didn't have food to feed my children, and I saw these mangoes and I thought maybe I could take some. So I threw a stone to let them fall so I could come and pick them. So now the soldiers are waiting, you know, just give it to her, let her learn her lesson. He turned to the soldiers and he said, I want you all to fill a bucket, a wheelbarrow full of mangoes right now and take it to her house. And tomorrow I want you to see to it that she's given enough food for a month, and you please find a job that she can do so she can start to earn money to take care of her family. Their jaws dropped. What? She threw a stone on you and this is what you're doing? He said, look, if you throw a stone at a tree and it gives you mangoes in return, I am the king. should I not give more? But we don't think like that, no? Should I not give more? Right? The privilege that we have as human beings is so great. So should our giving also not be so great? Like that. Okay. This is what Bhagavan Shri Krishna says. Now, the sentiment is, now he's finished Sattvic, Rajasic, Tamasic, Dana. The sentiment is, everything in our life should become sattvic. The way we give, the way we work, the way we engage in discipline, the way we do puja, the way we eat, what we eat, everything should be noble, good. It should bring joy and happiness and peace into our life. And that depends on our shraddha, on our faith, right? But you know, is it possible for somebody normal to be sattvic all the time, to be in a peaceful, happy, cheerful, positive mood all the time? No. We go through all kinds of moods during the day. Now, you happen to have a really bad day. At home and at work, something happened. And you're vexed and you're frustrated, and with that frustration, now you come to the mandir. Right? And a child passes and says, "Uncle or auntie, can you reach and give me that book from the top shelf?" Well, in that vexed, frustrated state, you take. It is not your natural nature to be like, take it. But helplessly it came out in the moment, right? So now what to do in those circumstances where we catch ourselves engaging in actions and doing them in an unoptimal way? Well, when we regret later, Bhagavan says, don't worry. Bhagavan is so compassionate, he has a solution for everything. If you are trying, and you are genuinely trying, well, he has a solution. So let us see what Bhagavan Shri Krishna has to say about what happens if we make mistakes in things that we are doing and we do them not so nobly. Om Tat Sat Iti Nirdesham Brahmanas Triveda Smritam.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Brahmanas Tena Vedascha Yajnascha Vihita Pura.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Tasmado Mityudahritya Yajnadana Tapatriyaha.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Pravartante vidhanoktaha Satatam Brahmavadina.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Tadityanabhisandhaya Phalam Yajnatapatriyaha.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Danakriyasya vividhaha Kriyante mokshakankshibhihi.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna,
Krishna Kanhaiya Lal ki jai. What if we make a mistake and our karma, meaning our yajna, our dana, our tapas, our food choices are not sattvic, they're rajasic or tamasic? Bhagavan says, Om Tat Sat iti nirdeshaha brahmanas trividaha smritaha. Bhagavan Shri Krishna says, Om Tat Sat. These are three words that are used to indicate Brahman, used to indicate Bhagavan. Well, that didn't answer the question. You asked one question and you said something else. Brahmanas tena vedascha yajnascha vihita puraha. You know, he says, it is by this Om Tat Sat utterance of these three names of Bhagavan that Brahmanas, Vedas, and Yajna was manifested at the beginning of this manifestation. Right? Om Tat Sat. Just hold the thought, we will get to the answer, right? When he says Brahmana, that represents all doers of all action. Anyone who does action was manifested at the beginning of time. Yajna, meaning all karmas that are done. And Veda, all means of knowledge. So the doers of action, the means of knowledge, and the karmas that they do, the actions that they do, they were all manifested by the utterance, by the saying of Om Tat Sat, like that. What does this mean? It means when Bhagavan was manifesting this universe, he said Om Tat Sat. How is it connected here? It is connected like every time that I do an action, whatever the action is, if I say Om Tat Sat, well, that action, whatever negativity or whatever is missing in the action, in my attitude, that thing becomes sattvic by the remembrance of Bhagavan. That is the sentiment that is here. Right? So we're supposed to do our best, try to do our best to be sattvic in everything that we do. But sometimes we are not 100% successful, and sometimes what we do is incomplete. So at that time, we remember Bhagavan, and the remembrance of Bhagavan brings completeness to the thing that we are doing. But we must do our best to start. You know, you can't say, well, I'll just do it however I know, and Bhagavan, I'll call your name and you fill in the rest. It doesn't work like that. It works when a person puts in sincere effort and still falls short. And then they remember Bhagavan. That thing is sanctified, purified, complete by his remembrance. The example is, you know, when you were in school once upon a time, or you are in school, depending on where you are, sometimes you write a test or an exam that is just really hard. And you'll get like a 40%. But the pass mark is 50. So you failed, right? But the teacher knows you put in really, really, really sincere effort. Is there not something called grace marks? Out of compassion, that teacher gives a few extra marks to bump you over so that you pass. Did you not have teachers like that? Grace marks. I think a lot of people survived school because of grace marks. We survive in this world also because of Bhagavan's grace marks. We put our effort in, and Bhagavan will do the rest. That is it. Bhagavan says an instruction. Tasmat, therefore, Om iti udahritya yajna dana tapakriyaha vartante vidhanoktaha satatam brahma vadinam. He says, therefore, we are supposed to say Om when we start anything, whether we're doing yajna, whether we're doing dana, whether we're doing tapas, meaning whether we're engaging in any worship or any work, whether we're doing any discipline, whether we're giving anything, we should do it saying Om, remembering Bhagavan. Because people who study the scriptures, that is what they also do. That is how it is. Then he goes on to say, Tat iti an abhisandhaya palam yajna tapakriyaha dana kriyaschat vividhaha kriyante mokshakangshibihi. So some people, when they do actions, they say Om. Others say Tat. People who are desirous of moksha, they think of Bhagavan as that reality. So when they're doing anything, they think of Tat. Tat means that. That which is beyond our mind and our senses and our intellect. That which is the cause of this whole universe. So they remember that. And without any desire for any material results, all they want is Bhagavan, is to realize their that. They want to realize that. Like that, they do yajna, dana, tapas, remembering Bhagavan. Now, basically, this whole thing boils down to whatever name of Bhagavan is your favorite, you take that name, and whatever it is you're doing, before you start your work, you remember that name of Bhagavan. While you're doing your work, you do your best to remember that name of Bhagavan. And when you're finished your work, you remember Bhagavan. Because we do things and we do them wrong sometimes. We say wrong mantras when we're doing puja. We do wrong steps sometimes. Sometimes we offer flowers and there will be an ant that will go and start crawling all over Bhagavan. Right? So we do things, and whatever we're doing, we remember, no. I'm doing this wanting to reach Bhagavan. I'm doing this for purity of mind. I'm doing this for something more divine. So I remember Bhagavan in everything that I am doing. And that makes the action special, and it makes it sattvic, and it means it brings joy to my life. It doesn't bring stress and sorrow. Now Bhagavan tells about Sat. There's Om, Tat, Sat. So he says now he tells about Sat. He tells 5 meanings of the word Sat. So let us chant that and we'll see how this chapter beautifully ends. Sadbhave sadhu bhave cha saditi tat prayujyate.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Prashaste karmani tatha sachabda partayujyate.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Yajne tapasi dane cha sthiti taditi chochyate.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Karma chaiva tadalphiyam saditi vavidhiyate.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Ashrataya hutam dattam tapastam tam kritam jayat.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Asadityuchyate partha nachatat prutya nachatat pritya no
Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare
Krishna Krishna Shri Krishna Kanhaiya Lal Ki Jai. We use the word sat all the time, and we use it in so many different contexts also. Bhagavan Shri Krishna tells 5 meanings of this word sat. Sat bhave. First, sat is used in the sense of existence. You know, we say everything exists, everything is made of existence. Existence, sat chit ananda, that sat, that existence is one of the meanings of the word sat. Everything exists. You know, such a wonderful thing. Even non-existence exists. Because if it didn't exist, you couldn't talk about it. So sat means existence, and existence is what pervades this entire universe, right? Existence. Then sadhu bhavecha. Sat is also used in the sense or the meaning of goodness, nobility, righteousness. For example, sat sangha. Sat sangha means the company of good, the company of the noble. Whether people or ideas, that is what sat sangha means, right? So sat is used in the context of goodness. Cha, then he says, prashaste karmani. The word sat is also used when you're describing good karma. Like if you say sat karma, that sat in sat karma, it means good actions, noble, auspicious actions. So all the samskaras that we have, you know, the vivaha samskara, the wedding, the janayo samskara, all the samskaras would be considered sat karmas. Even any social work or coming to satsang, all of that will be considered sat karma. So sat is used in the context of a good action. Then he says, Yagne tapasi dane cha sthiti sat iti cha uchyate. When somebody is really persevering and trying sincerely to engage in yajna, sacrifice, dana, any kind of giving, and tapas, any kind of discipline, with sincerity, with perseverance, with steadfastness, with willpower, at that time, that is also called sat. Sat is that effort that is put in, that effort becomes noble when you try to do it like this, with sincerity. Karma chaiva tadarthiyam. And any karma done for the purpose of facilitating yajna, dana or tapas is also called sat, is also called noble. So for example, when you come to the mandir, ordinarily, is putting out sheets considered sat karma, a good karma, a noble action? At home, I'm going to spread some sheets. That's just an action. It's just an action. But when I come to the mandir and I spread the sheets with the intention that people are going to come and sit and be comfortable to sing bhajans and engage in satsang, then that normal action becomes a sat karma. It becomes a good karma. So any action that we do in our life, if we do it with the sentiment that this is going to allow me to engage in my duty, it's going to allow me to engage in some kind of discipline, it's going to allow me to give, all of that karma also becomes called sat. it becomes called noble. So Bhagavan says, these are things that are called noble. He says, therefore now he says, the bottom line of all these things is, Ashraddhaya, if this thing that he lists now is done without Shraddha, without faith. What? Hutam, Dattam, Tapastaptam, Kritam. Any sacrifice that a person does, any dhanam, any giving that a person does, any austerity, any discipline that a person engages in, any karma that a person does that is done without faith, well, asat iti uchyate partha. That thing is called asat, means that thing is called ineffective. If a person is not doing actions with the right sentiment, that action is ineffective in bringing joy to their life. And if it is done with the right sentiment, then it is effective in bringing joy to our life. Because is it not that every single thing that we do is done for joy? Who does action saying, I'm going to do this to get some sorrow? Everything that we do is to get joy only. So the effectiveness is measured in Bhagavan's mind. Whether it is effective or ineffective is there nobility, and that comes when what you're doing is done with faith, right? If not, he says, it does not give great results here or hereafter. It doesn't matter how perfect someone can do a yajna here with the most beautiful flowers and they don't forget a single samagri. Everything is perfectly done. Every mantra is chanted well. But if they don't have faith in what they're doing, that whole thing is ineffective in Bhagavan's mind. It doesn't bring satisfaction and joy deep down in our life. In the world also, if an action is done without sincerity, the same thing happens. You know, people who say, oh God, it's Monday, I have to go to work. Thank God it's Friday, I don't have to go to work. It means they don't like the work that they're doing. Right? So they're going there by force. They're being there by force. They don't want to be there. So it causes like a split in the personality. Pretending to your boss, yeah, I'm very happy here, otherwise you're gone. You can't tell your boss, oh God, it's Monday. You have to smile at your boss, yeah, I'm happy to be here, I'm happy to do my work. So that split that happens in the personality, it brings stress and sorrow and strain in our life. Right? So we cannot enjoy even the material things we have when there isn't nobility in the attitude that we have, in the normal things that we do in life. So therefore, have Shraddha. Have faith that these actions, when you do them with the right attitude, they will bring great blessings and joy. And have faith that if you remember the name of Bhagavan, in whatever form, or as Om Tat Sat, whatever is lacking will get filled with nobility as well. Like this, Bhagavan Sri Krishna ends chapter 17. And you will hear at the end of every yajna, every night, we will end with Om Tat Sat. And Om Tat Sat is such a common way to end so many things, right? It is because, we may have made mistakes when chanting. I may have made a mistake in explaining something, right? I may have said something that would have confused your mind. So that Om Tat Sat, we say it so that it will still bring goodness to all of us. If I said something wrong or incorrect, saying Om Tat Sat at the end, there's a prayer and a sincere request to Bhagavan that it should not leave a wrong message in the mind of the person who listened to it. It should bring blessings and goodness to everybody, right? So we end everything with Om Tat Sat. And at the end of this chapter, at the end of every chapter, Bhagavan Sri Krishna, at the end of every chapter, Om Tat Sat iti. Every chapter ends with Om Tat Sat, right? In case there was any mistakes in the study of the chapter, it still brings goodness and blessings to all of us. And the key in all of this is the right faith, meaning the right attitude with which we approach everything that we do. So here comes the end of 17. Tomorrow we will start chapter 18. Chapter 18 is wonderful because it is a summary of Bhagavad Gita. But it is not an esoteric summary of Atmanyan. It is a very practical summary that, studying which, it continues to transform our day-to-day life. So we will see this wonderful chapter from a very practical point of view starting tomorrow. Tomorrow we will be at Tushin Radha Krishna Mandir, and we will be starting at 7 p.m. Now, if you live here, then that will feel like God's back. All the way at the other side. But if you would like to come, it would be really wonderful to have all of you there. Okay? Yeah, we came from there. Right there we came from. So it is not God's back. Please do take time to meet Pandit Krishna and Pandit Avishkar, who've joined from that side also. They're accompanying us very kindly and helping to facilitate our journey in the West Coast. Okay, a very special thank you to everybody at the mandir here. I know this was organized at a very, very, very last minute, and so for being able to come together so quickly to do this is really remarkable. Thank you all so much. It has been such a joy to be here with all of you. I will share a couple of quick announcements, and then I will do Aarti, and then I will pass it back to our MC. The last night of this 108th night Bhagavad Gita Yajna will be taking place in Georgetown at the Gandhi Youth Cricket Ground. We will be having the grand finale on Saturday, May 3rd at 5 p.m. And you are all warmly and cordially invited to join us as we celebrate. Our Swami Prakashananda Ji will be doing satsang. The last few verses of Bhagavad Gita will be finished there. And then we will have a grand finale program. There will be, we're hoping there will be people from every single mandir where we have gone and done satsang. Because it is such a momentous occasion that we are celebrating 108 nights with 108 mandirs all over Guyana, right? So please, if you all can come, we would love to have you there. We will send a request for RSVP also so we can make proper arrangements for everybody. Okay. Chinmaya Mission is a teaching organization. As Diana Ji was mentioning, we are global. It's a global organization, and the thing Chinmaya Mission specializes in is teaching. Teaching every age in the way that that age is meant to understand, and teaching every type of scripture to them as well. We don't teach math and English. I mean, in the Chinmaya, in the schools where we blend secular and spiritual education, we teach math and English too. But Chinmaya Mission's specialty is in spiritual education. So we will be starting classes for children as young as a year and a half, going all the way till seniors as well. So children, youth, young professionals, parents, classes for everybody. We also will be starting a special Pandits course for those who are interested in learning to chant the mantras for puja properly, and say everything clearly. We'll be teaching Sanskrit as part of that course as well. So if you know anyone who's interested, that will be for 15 to 30-year-olds, and it's 6 months. It starts on May 12th and it ends in December. Majority will be online, and there will be 1 week in person at the ashram in Monrepo. Okay? So they can apply online, and then we'll, based on the applicants, we'll start that in May. All right. Last announcement. Chinmaya Mission is starting what is called a Vedanta. Chinmaya Mission conducts a Vedanta course. A Vedanta course is a 2-year program where somebody who is interested in studying Sanatana Dharma, Hinduism, systematically, clearly, as was taught in the Guru Parampara system from ancient times. They stay in the Gurukul with the Guru, and every single day they study Vedanta, they study Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita, Ramayana, Vedic chanting, meditation, puja, Sanskrit, from 5:30 in the morning till 8 p.m. at night, every single day. For 2 years, no holidays, no weekends, nothing. And it really gives such a clear, fundamental understanding of the tradition. And after that, if someone would like to go and teach this knowledge and share it with others, the opportunity is there. So the course is starting in Trinidad on October 2nd with Swami Prakashanandaji, who is one of the most wonderful acharyas you could have. It is for the criteria is you have to be 30 and under, you have to have a university degree, and you have to be unmarried. You apply, and if you get in, then it is a sponsored program. So if you know anybody who's interested in studying our tradition in this systematic way, please do let them know so they can benefit from this course as well. All right, we will stand for Gita Arti and then we will close. Setting up the Aarti, I'll just mention, Chinmay Mission also has many publications, many books for children and adults on all different topics. So we'll be selling them outside. Please do pass by and see if there's any that catch your eye. Jai Bhagavad Gita, Maya Jai Bhagavad Gita.
Maya Kama Sakti Hara Tattva Jnana Vikashini
Vidya Brahma Para
Om Jai Bhagavad Gita
Nishala Bhakti Vidayini Nirmala Malahari
Maya Nirmala Malahari Sharanarahasya Pradayini
Sarvavidhi Sukhatari
Om Jai Bhagavad Gita
Ragadvesha Vidarini Karini Moda Sada
Maya Karini Moda Sada
Bhava Bhaya Harini Tarini
Bhava Bhaya Harini Tarini
Paramananda Prada
Om Jai Bhagavad Gita
Asura Bhava Vinashini Nashini Tamarajani
Maya Nashini Tamarajani
Devi Sadgunadayini
Devi Sadgunadayini
Hari Rasika Sajani
Om Jai Bhagavad Gita
Samata Tyaga Sikhavani Hari Mukha Ki Bani
Maya Hari Mukha Ki Bani
Sakala Shastra Ki Swamini
Sakala Shastra Ki Swami
Shrutiyo Ki Rani
Om Jai Bhagavad Gita
Daya Sudha Barasavani Matu Kripa Ki Jai
Maya Matu Kripa Ki Jai
Hari Pada Prema Daan Kar
Hari Pada Prema Daan Kar
Apno Kar मोहन बिहारी लाल की जय, श्री सत्य सनातन धर्म की जय, श्री सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय। हर हर नमः पार्वती पतये, हर हर नमः पार्वती पतये। हरि ओम तत्सत।